Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to go back.
After they did.
In everyone, beginning of the month till 2.
Hi, so thank you for joining. We're gonna wait for 5 minutes. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for joining today. My name is Caxton. I'm the senior manager from ISSofBC LCC. Yeah. So today I'm going to share about information regarding with the StudentAid BC funding. Some of you may already heard about the student aid, or in case you are not aware with student aid, this is a student funding which is supporting people with PR, citizens, or protective status. So I would like to start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the ancestral and traditional territories of Coast Salish people, including the Musqueam, Squamish, and the Torres. So first of all, let's talk about student aid. So what is student aid? Well, student aid is actually a funding provided by the federal government and BC governments. So if you are a newcomers or even a citizens in Canada, you are eligible and qualify for the government-funded grant and zero interest loan to help you to cover the tuitions and living costs. So most likely, if you are applying for the student aid funding, there will be two portions of the funds that will come into your account. The first one is the grant. That will be the Canada Student Grant based on the financial need. That means the student aid department will assess your income, and based on your income, they will assess how much grants they're going to give it to you. And the second one is the grant for student with disability. So for disability grants, some of the student, if they're under disability status or under disability support, they will receive extra grant under this one. The remaining living allowance will be go under the student loan. There will be a BC student loan portions and also the Canada student loan. Canada student loan is the federal loans, which is interest-free loans. And BC student loan is also low interest right now. It's approved for people studying in a private college. So what does that mean? That means like if you're a study programmed, then they will provide a grant to cover some of your tuitions, and the remaining and the living allowance will be with loans. Right now, it's zero interest. That means you don't have to pay any interest on the day that you're paying back. So how much you're going to receive? We are right now trying to give you an example. Say, for example, you are applying a 52 weeks program with us, which means a 1 year full-time program. Normally, you will receive up to $27,000 if you have no dependents, and up to $38,000 if you have one dependence. So based on these total fundings that you're going to receive, how much is grant and how much is loaned? For the Canada Student Grant, you see that there's 6,300 for 52 weeks program. So this is the maximum grant that you're gonna get. Say if you're under the living allowance support, you are under the low income threshold, you may be eligible up to 6,300. But if you are having some incomes before and then you're doing part-time, you may receive less than 6,300. And then on the middle, the Canada student loan, you may receive up to $15,000 for 52 weeks of study. And for BC student loan, you will receive up to $50,000 lifetime limit. All right. So when you submit for student aid, what you will receive is partial grant, partial loan. Say if you have dependents, you have a child, or maybe you have more than one child, what will happen is you'll be eligible for having additional 64.62 per dependents per week. So if you have one student, say if you have one dependent, what you need to do is very simple, just multiple the $64 into 52 weeks, then that is the maximum grant that you are going to have. Okay. So for some of the family, if they have around like two students, two dependents, what will happen is that they will be doubling up this grant. So normally for a family with one dependent, like a single parents, normally they will receive around $3,000 just by one dependence per year. If you're disabled, what you have additionally is 800 per program, right? So say some of the short program that we have, 12 weeks TESOL and leadership programs, the tuition is 2,800. That means if you're under the disability status, you may receive the disabled grant, which cover the tuitions. So you don't have to pay anything for the course. So some of the important information that you may need to know is for the LCC program, which is eligible for student aid, is full-time, it's not part-time, but the time and delivery model is very flexible. I'm going to share a little bit more about that later. Yeah. And the funding is not guaranteed. Well, so what does that mean is it will be based on your eligibilities. So normally our registrar will help you to submit the student aid applications and you'll be able to see how much you could get before you make the decisions. If you decide to study any program, just make sure that you have at least 6 weeks before the program start to start your application, because normally for student aid application, it takes some time. So when you start to do the student applications, first, of course, you need to understand whether you meet the eligibility, whether you are under the PR status, are you a citizen, or are you the protected person? Find out which program is designated by student aid, because not all the programs are designated by student aid, not just LCC. If you go to any college, make sure the program that you would like to take is designated by student aid, so you could apply for student aid funding while you study that program. So get the program informations, like you have to understand the program title, there always a program code, program years, how long it's going to be for the study period, how much is tuitions, and any mandatory fees, such as the application fee, administration fee, etc. Understand the program year structures. Sometimes when you're applying for a program which is longer than 52 weeks, then you may need to separate into 2 applications. But say, for example, one of our program is 52 weeks, but because there's 1 week of holiday, so the whole duration of the program will be 53 weeks. Then student aid needs to separate into 2 applications and you will have extra fundings for that. Last one, BC service card ready. So if you're a BC resident, you may be aware that there is a BC service card and there's a BC service card apps. BC service card apps is going to help you to access a lot of government services online. So if you want to go through the student aid application and try to assess how much you're going to get while you study a course, make sure that you have the BC Service Card apps ready and register. So this is the application journey when you start your applications. First, you have to set up your account. So after you have your BC Service Card apps, you need to log in the student aid applications. And then you need to revise and review whether all your information are correct and enter your SIN number. So after you enter your SIN number, then you can start your application. But remind that after you add your SIN number from the very first time, it may take up to 72 hours for them to assess and verify your SIN. So that means within that 72 window, you won't be able to submit the applications. So when you are able to start the applications, then you choose the program and also the study period. Then you need to enter some informations here. The information regarding like your personal informations, your parents' informations, if you are a dependent, financial informations such as your income last year. Then you need to submit during declarations, consents, and later on, you will need to monitor the status. Normally, you receive emails from student aid, but you are also welcome to check it like every day and see if there's an update or maybe there is some information you need to fill up, right? So once they have completed reviewed, they will send you a notice of assessment NOA. Within the NOA, they will be able to see how much grants you're going to get, how much living allowance you're going to receive. If you agree to proceed with the funding, what you need to do is you need to sign the MSFAA agreement. So this is a student aid agreement. Once you sign the agreement, then it comes into the college portals. That means the college, just like LCC, will be able to see your complete application and we can confirm whether you are starting the program or not. So if we confirm that you are going to start the program with us, then the NSLSC will start receiving the funding. This is the national student loan governance. So this is a little bit more details about how you do the applications. Right. This is what I just mentioned. Once you enter your C number, it will take 72 hours until they verified. When you do start the applications, just make sure that you do not select part-time. You have to select full-time. And some student may ask, like, what is the difference between the full-time and part-time programs, and how will that affect the student aid? So normally, if it is a full-time program, if it is a full-time program, student aid will provide living allowance only for full-time program. If it is a part-time program, you may still eligible for the grant and student loan for your tuition fee, but there will be no living allowance for that. Okay, so the difference between full-time and part-time is you may receive the living allowance or you are not eligible for living allowance if it is a part-time. Okay, so if you trying to select a program on the student aid application and you could not find a program that you like, try to contact us and we'll be able to help you. So based on the application, these are the personal information they may ask. First, the personal informations, like they need to understand your status, either you're a PR or either you're a protected persons. They will suggest that you upload those documents to verify it. If you are under disability status, you may need to upload the kind of proof to showcase that you are under the disabled status for them to assess your disability grant. If you are the dependents, if you are still living with your parents, or if you are married, then they will need you to provide the parents and partnerships informations. So what will that affecting you is because if you have a partners or if you're living with your parents, that means they will be responsible to cover up some of your living allowance. Then your living allowance will be less. Financial sections, normally what you need to enter is very simple, is the income that you have last year's. If you already filed with the CRA report, if you already filed taxes last year's, normally you don't have to provide any information. You just need to enter your income last year and then they will verify with CRA. Once you complete all this information, all you need is just submit and declare. One information that they may ask is they may want to understand the last day of your high school. So that means which year, which month, which date that you complete your high school. So once you submit the applications, so normally it may take around 1 to 2 weeks for them to give you the assessments. So on the application page, you're able to see your assessments, and then you then decide whether you are going to review the assessments. Say if you believe that the assessment is not correct, or maybe you have some update information, you can apply for reassessment, or you can simply accept the assessment and sign a contract. So in case if you think the assessment is not satisfied and you decided not to take it, all you need to do is very simple, just email them and cancel the applications. So once you complete signing the agreement with the government, then we will help you to confirm that your enrollment with us, then the funding will be released. So what you need to do by completing the MSFAA agreement is to provide your bank's account so the government will reimburse the living allowance to you. So these are the three programs that we have right now. under student aid designations. The first one is a Diploma of Office Management and Leadership program. It is a 52 weeks program, but because of the holiday, it's spanned into 53 weeks. So what will that means to you is even the program is 52 weeks because of the holidays is 53 weeks. The government will evaluate your living allowance based on 53 weeks. That means the living allowance funding you're going to receive is 53 weeks rather than 52. And because it's more than 52 weeks, so that's why we have to separate into a year one and year two applications. But if you do not really understand about these breakdowns and you may need to talk to the registrar, I will be able to guide you. And also the year two funding is not automatic. So that means when you apply for the year one funding, you should apply for the year two funding together. So the other one is the business operation and digital marketing with co-op. This is a longer program. It's a 96 weeks program. With the break, it will be 99 weeks. So that means if you are interested into these two programs, that is you have to separate year one and year two application as well. Right? And then you'll receive the 99 weeks of fundings for this one. The last one is TESOL and Leadership Program. It's a 12 weeks program, full-time. There's one application, it's very simple. And TESOL and Leadership Program is all partly online and partly in person. If you'd like to know more about this program information, you can feel free to ask me by the end of this webinars, or I can leave you the contact information with the register, so you can talk to them and see whether the program fits you. Before you actually prepare for the student application, make sure that you have the BC government IDs ready, SIN numbers ready, banking informations regarding with the funding deposit, tax informations, proof of citizenship status, family informations, disabled documents if needed, and our program details. If you're not clear about these documents, we are very happy to help you with. Make sure that the SIN number needs around 72 hours to verify it. No matter you open your BC service card apps or the student applications, both of them needs around 72 hours window to verify it. Make sure you do not select part-time because that will means that you are not eligible for the living allowance. If you are not sure with the program date, start date, or information, contact us. So what we can do is our registrar can work with you and guide you through the applications. So if you realize that you received the notice of assessment, but you cannot accept, or this does not give you the button to accept the assessment, that means some of the things are pending. Sometimes maybe because of the CRA verification, or maybe because of your disability status or your immigration status, these may cause some pending as well. Feel free to talk to us and we're able to help you find out what is this. In case when you start your application and you realize that you have to change the program start date, you can simply just change it on the student aid application or contact us to help you with. Right. So these three are the links of the StudentAid BC. StudentAidBC.ca is the StudentAid BC website. If you want to know more about how to do the application by yourself, you can search StudentAid walkthrough video. So this one is on YouTube. And the last one is National Student Loan Service Center, NSLSC. So this is the website to manage your funding application and disbursements. So that means this is a place that you are going to enter your bank information when they start doing the funding disbursements to you. And later on, when you complete your program, then you will need to go to these websites and start repaying. So sometimes students may ask questions regarding if you have difficulties in terms of repaying the loans. So what will happen? So because students understand that this is student aid funding, including grants and including student loans. But when we are talking about loan, that means we have to pay back. But student aid funding is slightly different from what you know about loan. Is if you are unable to pay back or if you do not have a job, the government will allow you to extend your repayment up to 6 months. That means within that 6 month window, you don't have to pay it. I'm going to share about more information later. Okay. Yes, so this is about the repayment. So after you finish your programs, you don't have to pay until the 7 months. So what will happen if you do not have a job, or if you just have a part-time job, or maybe the income is not enough to start repaying? So what will happen is you can apply for RAP. So RAP is called the Repayment Assistance Program. So what happens if you need the assistance? You can contact with the NSLSC department, and then if they think you're eligible, then they will give you a 6 months grace period. That within the upcoming 6 months, you don't have to pay it. Okay. So what happens if you continue under low income or you don't have a job? Then what will happen is you will continue your RAP until 60 months or until the 10 years after you complete your program. Then the government will start helping you to replace the principal and interest. Later on, what will happen if you reach the 15 years after you complete the program? If there is still remaining balance, the government will repay the remainings for you. So what does that mean? That means if you study with student aid, and unfortunately, because of some family issues, because of unemployment rate, you won't be able to pay back for some period of time. Don't worry about that. The federal government is actually will give you grace period, so you don't have to pay back, and it won't affect your credit score. So what will happen if there's a long-term situation that you can't pay back? That means the government will start supporting you and start paying back after 60 months if you're on the RAP or 10 years after you complete the program. So this means a lot of students, when they're thinking about continuing education and but they worry about the payment, don't worry about that because governments understand that, so they won't force you to pay if you don't have enough income. All right. So in case you have question about the RAP, so you can contact with the RAP program and they're happy to explain more. And also if you have some difficulties about communication, if you want to talk about register, talk to us, we're able to help you as well. So this is the income threshold. So I'm trying to show it to you is because some students want to understand like how do that looks like, how much money do I have to get in order to pay back the loan. If I under this certain income threshold, I don't have to pay it. Say if you are a single dependent, your parents is not here just by yourself, your money income is 3,800. If you're married, your family income is 4,500. If you have a kid, is 5,500. If you have two kids, is 6,400. So what does that mean is after you complete the program, if your money income is less than this threshold, you don't have to pay back. So all you need to do is prove that this is your income is less than the income threshold and apply for the RAP every 6 months. So by every 6 months, if you are eligible for that, they will give you a 6 month grace period. You don't have to pay back. All right. So there's a little bit overview about LCC. So we are part of the ISSofBC, a nonprofit association has been helping settlements and newcomers for over 50 years. And LCC ourselves has been 30 years in career and language training, and all the free full-time program are designated by student aid funding. So if you have not decided whether you're going to take a long course, but you feel like that you want to take something short, like English training or maybe some certificate, we have some flexible program which designated and decided to fit your goals and timeline. Most likely our admissions requirement is mostly lower than some public schools and some other private school and make the education and training more accessible for you. Besides the student aid, if you're not eligible for student aid, we have Global Talent Node and some other Work BC fundings as well, and we have refugee support programs. So we have multiple pathway programs that may help to support your need. So feel free to contact us if you're not unsure whether you're eligible for any of the support or fundings. Okay. So what's the next step? If you are ready to moving forward, or even if you're not prepared to study in any program, but you would like to know whether you are eligible for that, give us a call. If you decide you're going to apply for any program, get ready with your BC service card, talk to us, find out the right program, and you can start the student aid applications. So thank you very much for joining us today. And what we're going to do is we're going to welcome you to visit us anytime. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a message here and we'll be answer you. Okay, so it's Senada, right? Senada, yes. The questions? Or if you want to, you can actually leave a message on the chat as well. Okay, Marina, yeah, will you send the emails to presentation? Yes, I will. Um, so let's see if I got your email address somewhere. I think I do. Okay. So what I will do is I will also type my email address here. In case if you want us to contact you for any information regarding the PowerPoint, leave me an email address and I will send it to you after the meeting. Right? Is there any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for coming. I'm also just share the website, the telephone hotlines, the email address that about LCC. So welcome to give us a call and send us emails. All right, thank you very much again for joining this webinar. I hope the information helps you a lot. Um, okay, so have a nice day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.